There's a phrase that appears in courtrooms and insurance contracts, one that commands both legal power and spiritual awe, an act of God. Most think of it as disaster, a flood, a fire, a storm no one can control, but that's only the surface. You see, to believers across the world, an act of God is something else entirely. It's not chaos, it's not coincidence, it's a divine intervention. When the natural world makes way for the supernatural hand of the Almighty. Let me tell you a story, 10 stories in fact, 10 unforgettable moments when God stepped into history and made the impossible possible. It began with water, a world drowning in evil, and a man named Noah. When everyone else turned their back on righteousness, God gave Noah a warning and a mission. He built an ark, mocked by many, but faithful to the end. And when the skies broke open and the earth was swallowed by the sea, one family survived. The great flood wasn't just judgment, it was mercy, a reset and a second chance for mankind. In a barren desert, a man named Moses wandered in exile, and there in the silence he saw a bush on fire, but it did not burn up. Out of the flame a voice called his name, Moses. God spoke from the bush, not just to reveal himself, but to set a people free. It was there that a deliverer was born, not by sword, but by calling. Later that same man stood between a sea and a slaughter. Behind him, Pharaoh's army, before him, endless water, but then the wind blew. The sea split apart. Walls of water rose on both sides, and Israel, once slaves, walked through on dry ground. The parting of the Red Sea wasn't magic, it was divine rescue. At Mount Sinai, the earth trembled. Fire descended from heaven. Smoke wrapped the mountain like a cloak. And there the voice of God delivered a covenant, a moral law to guide a nation. This wasn't a distant deity. This was a God who drew near. The Israelites reached the city of Jericho. Massive walls, sealed gates, an impenetrable fortress. But God didn't command them to fight, only to march. For 6 days they walked. On the 7th day they shouted, and the walls, they crumbled like dust. Victory came not by force, but by faith. Another battle raged. Daylight began to slip away, but Joshua cried out, "Lord, let the sun stand still." And it did. For an entire day the sun refused to set. Time itself bent to God's will until the victory was won. Centuries later, wise men stared into the stars. One burned brighter than the rest. It wasn't just a light. It was a sign, one that led them across deserts, nations, and languages, until they found him. A baby in a manger, born not in a palace but in a stable. The Star of Bethlehem guided kings to kneel before the King of Kings. On a boat in Galilee, chaos erupted. Waves slammed into the hull. The disciples feared for their lives, but Jesus slept, and when they cried out to him, he rose and spoke just one word, peace. And just like that, the sea obeyed. Even the storm knew his name. Then came the darkest moment in history. Jesus was crucified, buried, gone. But on the 3rd day, the ground shook, the stone rolled away, and death, once final, was defeated forever. The resurrection wasn't the end of the story. In an upper room, a handful of ordinary people prayed. Then fire appeared above their heads. Languages they had never spoken flowed from their mouths. Courage filled their bones. Pentecost had arrived. God didn't just move around them, he moved within them, and from that moment the church was born. These aren't just ancient events, they are signs, reminders. God still moves, he still heals, he still parts seas and silences storms, he still answers prayers. Whatever you're facing, whatever feels impossible, the same God who made time stop can rewrite your story too, because when God acts, nothing stays the same. So today I ask you, what's your Red Sea? What's your Jericho? What storm are you standing in? Remember, he is with you. He is for you. And he is still writing miracles Comment below with the miracle that gives you hope. Like and share this video with someone who needs to know that God still makes a way, and subscribe for more stories that bring faith to life.